Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be discussing productivity, which is very important in business and, as you know, also very important in life. This is a hard topic because once you start talking about time management and how you make time for things and how you prioritize things, some people tend to get defensive. And I'm not here to, I don't know, call anybody out, I suppose, is like a good way to put it. But I also challenge you to reconsider if maybe you have pockets of time that you're not counting as pockets of time to get things done, and are choosing to use them on less productive things. And I'm also not saying that you can never use social media for anything for fun and you can never take a free moment to take care of yourself, because that is not it either. But I do think it's a little bit of a crutch that people lean on when they say, I don't have the time to do this, or oh, it must be nice to be a stay-at-home mom to have your business. I don't have time for that. Which I do honestly understand that I am a little more privileged in the fact that I do have a day job, but my day job is also another one of the businesses I own. Therefore, I'm my own boss on all fronts. And I set my own hours on all fronts. I do have deadlines in both businesses, but it's a little more flexible. I don't have a standard 9 to 5. So I do realize that I am more fortunate than some, but my spouse works 60 to 70 hours a week, 6 to 7 days a week. And there are things that he is able to do in his free time. And he's got less free time than the average working person also. So I'm just saying, there might be pockets of time that you're failing to acknowledge, or acknowledged but are using them in a way that is not beneficial if you're looking to have your own business. And that's just something that we have to see and understand. Now, that aside, I'm just going to explain to you personally how I manage my time and the methods that I follow that keep me on track and the most productive I can be. Because while I am a stay-at-home mom, I wear a lot of hats, and even more so than the average crochet business owner, because I do a lot of different things. So I'm not a productivity expert, but I've said it once and I'll say it again. I just share things from my perspective that I find work for me, and you might find they work for you. Both of these methods are tried and true. People love them, and it helps them stay on task and get more things done, and in more efficient manners. So before we get into those methods, I'm going to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about me so you know all the things that I am managing in my day-to-day. So my name is Jackie Chaplin. I am the owner of a crochet business, obviously. Yeah. My business is called Works of Whimsy Crochet. You can see my little sign right there. We're still in the process of rebranding from an old name, but that's who we are now. So we're going forward with that foot. So as a crochet business, I sell finished makes, I sell patterns, and I now sell felt eyes. And I'll get into why felt eyes are super beneficial here later. And that's right there in and of itself is something that not every crochet business does. Most people are either team finish makes or team patterns, and then some people are in both. But I haven't seen too many people that are patterns, finish makes, and felt eyes, and I haven't seen too many that are all those things online on their own website and on Etsy and in person, because I'm all those things, all those places. Yes. So like I said, I sell on Etsy. I recently just started my own website. I had a personal website for my writing business for a long time, but I closed that down because I have one steady client that's been my one steady client for years. So I no longer needed a writer's website to try to get more clients because I'm good. But now I have one for my business. And so I'm transitioning everything from my Etsy over to my website. Not that I'm getting rid of Etsy, I'm not, but it just always helps to have a backup. And my website would be my backup. If something ever happened to Etsy, it's also going to be a form of revenue also, because I'm going to make sales on my website that are obviously not coming from Etsy and vice versa, so it's good to diversify. So that's something I'm doing that's very time consuming, getting all that stuff over. I'm also kind of redoing my Etsy because as I mentioned, changed my business name and like all my branding. So I have patterns that are, say, Cotton Baby Crochet, the original business name, that I'll need like refixed to like redone to fix that. Yeah. And then offline, I sell in person at markets, usually 1 to 2 markets a month during market season, which is like now until spring. So yeah, it's a lot. And that's just for my crochet business. As I've mentioned, I also am a freelance writer. So that is my day job. I typically do 2 writing jobs a week, every week. Now, for the past several months, it wasn't always like that, but you'll find out in business that things tend to change. And that's like lesson 1 in business. Just be adaptable. If you're adaptable, you'll do fine. If you're not adaptable, you're probably going to struggle because things change and it just is what it is. And you got to like accept and adapt and go. But yes, currently, since like, I don't know, June or July maybe, I've been, no, maybe it was sooner. I don't know. I've been doing 2 jobs a week, and the jobs range in size everywhere from like 500 words for a job to like 2,500 words for a job. So that in itself is kind of hard to plan for, but I'll get into like how I deal with that. I'm also a stay-at-home mom, as I've alluded to. Uh, 3 kids, 2 toddlers, and one 11-year-old. The 11-year-old is homeschooled, so I'm a homeschool mom. Admittedly, she is more self-led this year with her homeschool because she is middle school age. Last year, I completely had her on bookwork, and we were not using tablets or like any like electronics to learn, other than the occasional video that I would make her watch in the living room so I can control it. Because coming out of COVID and when they were forced to do tablet learning, she was, as a child, not disciplined enough for that. So she associated tablet learning with like YouTube time. And I just wanted to like straight up, like, we're going to go old school bookwork. You're going to read something. You're going to tell me what you learned. And that was kind of the format we kept like the whole year last year. And now I'm giving her a little more freedom. If she finds something she's interested in and wants to research it a little more, she can. But she does have like the main platform that she's doing assignments on. And then I can see like how long she's spent on assignments, how many times she's done assignments, and that kind of vibe. I wish I could say it was going smoothly because it's mostly self-led, but because it's mostly self-led, and she's 11, it's been like a little much, but we're getting through it. Yeah. But yes, so multiple business, multiple kids, and every so often, I really do feel like I want to have like an actual breakdown, but it's fun because I just like keep on going. You know, Dory, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. But there are 2 methods I follow that help, 1, keep me organized, and 2, keep me on task. And then when you're organized and on task, you are in fact being productive. So I will share those methods with you. I think it's important to understand that while I'm sharing these methods with you, and they're called methods, you can like adapt them however you need. And I'll explain how I've adapted them to like meet my needs. And that's something you'll have to figure out by trying them and like seeing. But the first one that I think is really underrated, that's probably one you've not even heard of, and some of you have if you're like artsy people, because I feel like it's talked about in that community more so than like anywhere else, but it's the Pomodoro method. So in the Pomodoro method, and I don't know the history, I first learned about it in a book by Lauren Graham that I read many years ago. It says that you work in like a focused 25-minute interval, and then you take a 5-minute break, and then you work in 25-minute interval, and you take a 5-minute break. After you've done 4 25-minute intervals, you can take a longer break, and we're talking like 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you know, if you like need to eat. But the breaks are important and they help. And I know what you're thinking. How am I getting things done if I'm only working for like 25 minutes at a time? If you take a step back and look bigger picture, if you only work on one task 25 minutes a day, every day of the week, by the end of the week, you would have worked on that one task for almost 3 hours. when you think of it big picture, you can get a lot done in 3 hours. And if you do that week over week over week, you'll have like an insane amount done by just allotting one 25-minute segment to that one task. Now, for me personally, I like to take phase one and write down everything I need to do. And I'm not talking just business. I'm talking literally everything I need to do, the mundane stuff, like calling the doctors to schedule an appointment for the kids, or house cleaning, because we all know we like hate that. And we'll like, me personally, I'll find any work to do to put off house cleaning. So yeah, write everything down. Don't leave anything like, oh, I'll remember that. That's important. So I got that. I don't need to write it down. The point of writing things down is to help like clear your brain. So your brain's not clear if you've left like one or two like small things in there that, oh, you'll remember. No, everything down. And then you can look at your list with your clear head and then prioritize them. So for me, things that take precedent in the week are writing jobs because there are deadlines on those. Like I said, I have to do two a week. Etsy orders, because again, there are deadlines on those. If somebody ordered my stuff and I said it's going to be out in 3 to 5 days, I need to make sure that shit's out in 3 to 5 days. So that stuff is going to go at the top of the list. And then smaller stuff, like I like to write patterns also. And some could argue that for some patterns, there is a deadline on it. Like ideally, your Christmas stuff should be up well before Christmas. So yeah, I should be having my Christmas stuff go up now and it's just not ready yet. And that's something you have to accept, that if there's no real deadline on it, don't necessarily try to force it into a deadline because you're just going to add more stuff. Like, again, let's step back and think big picture. What happens if I get this Christmas pattern up after Christmas? Well, then I'm way ahead for next year. And it'll sit there on my Etsy and it'll be fine. And then, hey, Christmas in July is a thing. Maybe it'll get bought in July and it's only like 6 months ahead of schedule instead of a year. So look at your tasks like that. What actually takes priority? And then kind of like, start organizing them that way. I like to take my more important things, my more pressing things, and do those first thing in the morning. And again, I know like if you have a 9 to 5 job, this doesn't work like that. But whenever you're the freshest, because I personally am freshest like 9 to noon, I try to get like my important stuff, my super important stuff done then. And then I can like crochet in the evening or in the afternoon, which is kind of hard because my most important like stuff happens when I'm freshest, but it also happens when I have like the most distractions because of the kids. So that's just something that I've had to cope with. But I try to save like writing jobs for strictly in the evening, and it just doesn't work as well because it just doesn't for me. But yes, organize your stuff on paper, and then you can decide, okay, I have this writing job. Well, we'll talk about writing jobs in a second because I don't actually use the Pomodoro for my writing jobs. I have this order, it's due out this week. Most of my custom orders usually take like 6 to 8 hours, some a little bit longer, but that means if you like carry the thought out that I can pretty much work 25 minutes a day just one time and just about be done with that order by the end of the week. So with that in mind, I can schedule out if I have a ton to do today, only one 25-minute segment for that one thing. If it's a lighter day, then I could do two and get a little bit ahead, and I'll still be on track to finish by the end of the week. And then most of my custom orders, I actually allot 2 weeks for. So, I have a huge buffer. If something comes up, I'm covered. There's no reason to like worry. So like be realistic with your own deadlines. My non-custom order stuff, I've made the pattern to like obviously take the picture to get it on my Etsy. So I know how long it takes. I have a turtle that was ordered today that is an all from jade pattern. That turtle takes like 2.5 hours, but I have the turnaround time on that as 3 to 5 days. So I'll probably start it tonight and then allot 25 minutes the next 2 days, at least twice. and then I should definitely be done with that by the third day. It'll ship right on time, and yeah, we'll be totally fine. So organize your stuff like that. If it's something that's due soon, give it more 25-minute segments. If it's something that's not due soon, give it like a 25-minute segment. Like on days when I'm like really not feeling the whole house cleaning thing, like that'll get one 25-minute segment. And that's another reason why the Pomodoro method is so good. It's like great for tasks you've been dreading that you don't want to do. Like for me, photography for my Etsy stuff, fracking hate it. Hate it. In fact, I just had my friend over. Was it last weekend? Maybe it was the weekend before. Yeah, I think it was the weekend before. Dang, has it really been that long? Yeah, I just had my friend over to help me do pictures for my Etsy because, like, I freaking hate it. I hate it, and she doesn't mind it. So that's another thing. Like, if you have any sort of resources where you can ask for help, ask for help. There's like no shame in that game. Like, and then when you get going in business, if you have the money to outsource things, bro, outsource things. Like, what an amazing resource. Obviously, I just started outsourcing editing more consistently. I've done it here and there, but I'm almost a year into business and I'm just now outsourcing more permanently editing. And that's only because I found somebody who will work like very cheaply. And I do realize I'm underpaying her and I feel bad about it, but like I don't have like real editor money. So like, you kind of broker back end deals, man. So what had happened is I have two toddlers because somebody thought that was a good idea. Um, and they decided, bless their little hearts, that they were both going to get up in the middle of the night, like at 3 a.m. middle of the night, and just not go back to bed for like over an hour. Like I remember looking at the clock and it was 4:20. Um, and I don't remember what time we all ended up going back to bed. But yeah, so there was like a good amount of like interrupted sleep for us all in the middle of the night, and my brain's just like checked out. So yeah, that's why I try to get my stuff done earlier in the day. It is now almost 5 o'clock, but because my kids, bless their little hearts, do not sleep well, they have not been the most pleasant they could be today. So rude. So I'm on take like 5 with this video. And when Zach got home, I had him like take them away so I could do this. So that's a resource that I happen to have. I read a book and I don't remember the name of the book, but the book, to like sum it up, was about we all have, what's the word? I think it was just unfair advantages. We all have our own version of like an unfair advantage, and you should use them. So like an unfair advantage for my good friend Marty, who edits my videos, is her like editing game. She's now using that in like a way that instead of just editing her own videos, she has monetized it and doesn't get paid a ton, but she's doing something she knows she's good at and now making money on it. That's a good unfair advantage to use. I have the unfair advantage of like being a stay-at-home mom and like being able to set my own hours on things. So I use that to my advantage. I have a partner who's supportive. There was definitely a time in my life where I did not have that. So I'm definitely using that unfair advantage to like help me now. So I wish I could remember the book. Ali Abdal talks about it. And I don't know if I said his name right, but he's like a big productivity person on the YouTube. Love him. But yeah, I read that book because of him. So whatever your unfair advantage is, find it, lean into it. If you crochet super fast, that's good. Lean into that. You can pump out more inventory. If you're really good at photography, lean into that. Offer to do pictures for people if you like have the time to like do that. Yeah, good stuff. Anyway, gotten a little off track here because my brain's not working. But yes, basically you work in the 25-minute intervals. The 5-minute break is going to be like the time where if you're me, like I get up and I'll do diapers then, get snacks. It's when I'll take like 5 minutes to just like turn it all off for a second and sit there. That was like one of my favorite ways to use my 5 minutes. I'll also occasionally just scroll for fun. So this method makes you take your 25 minutes and use it well. And the more you do it, the easier it is, even as somebody with ADHD, to like slide into that like focus mindset and get going. So it's like good for that. But it also helps you avoid burnout because you're getting those frequent breaks. You can get up and walk around, like stretch. I know as crocheters we like sit a lot, and so it's good to be able to like get up and move. And yeah, it's a good method, and I like urge you to try it for at least like a week just to try it and see. I know like the concept of working only 25 minutes on one thing before either taking a break or like taking a break and then moving to something else seems like it would be chaotic and you wouldn't get a lot done. But I don't know. I think it's good, and I'm not the only one who thinks that it's good in the world of productivity. This is like one of those things that are pretty commonplace. Um, and it helps me. It helps me because I wear a lot of hats. So it's good to be able to like when you're trying to organize things without any real system, um, things just kind of get pushed and get pushed and get pushed. And I'm still guilty of that even with this method, but less gets pushed now. Like the headband thing, I've pushed that off like every to-do list I've put it on because it's just not right for my business right now. But I've been pushing off filming the like pumpkin and witch tutorial, and I sat down and I just like took that time today to do it. And now it's done and in the process of uploading to Marty. And that did take a couple of my 25-minute segments today, but I was able to get that done, and now it's like out of the way. And I should have done it sooner, just allotted the time, to do it. And like I said, when I dread something, I'll just put it on the list one time. Like usually it's house cleaning only makes the list like one time. And you'd be surprised about how much you can get done in like a focused 25-minute session of cleaning. Like you can pick up and vacuum a couple of rooms in 25 minutes. I know it takes me like 2 minutes to make my bed. Just like making the bed in a room or like really can make it look like 10 times better. I can get through most of like cleaning my kitchen, like doing the dishes and wiping the counters in just one 25-minute session. And then, like I said, I'm fortunate enough to have a partner, so he'll come home and do some cleaning too. And that's how like we maintain that. Uh, so yeah, just like give it a try and see. And then the other method that is helpful, and I use that for another part of my other business, is sorry, my like ADHD brain got distracted by this. Okay, I gotta stop. Ugh. It's so much harder to fight when you've not had enough sleep. God. Anywho, the other method is batch working. And I use it both in my crochet business, but mostly in my writing job business, because for most things that are not writing, it's really not that bad to like stop and like clean it up and change tasks. For writing, for me at least personally, and this probably stems as like an ADHD thing, it can be hard to get going like on a writing job and then to have interruptions because it just like messes up your whole flow. So for my writing job stuff, I like to batch work that in a way that I'll take not one, 2 to 3 days a week, and that's primarily the only thing I'm going to focus on. So I can get my writing job stuff done like as fast as possible, so I don't have to worry about it the rest of the week. And like I said, I realize not everybody can work their like work like that. But I can. So I'm going to use that unfair advantage to my advantage and just knock that shit out so I can like have my money to like live, but also go back to this business I'm trying to build. So that is usually from like either Tuesday and Wednesday I do writing jobs, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or sometimes just Wednesday, Thursday. Like this week, it's going to be just Wednesday, Thursday that I'm going to do writing jobs. And get those out of the way, especially because I have an event this weekend. Another way that I've been batch working since I've discovered the beautiful power of hot glue is literally in my crochet, I just crochet. I don't stop to like mess around with safety eyes. I can just crochet and then I get stuff done faster that way because I'm using felt eyes or even going back and gluing the safety eyes. You don't realize like how much of like a flow messer upper that stopping to do safety eyes can be until you just like stop using them properly, you know? And I didn't initially stop using them properly. I would uh, still put the back on them, but like also glue them. But I think at this point, because the hot glue really works a lot better than it sounds like it would, like honestly, like try it out before you're like, that's not safe. Because the only way I've been able to get the stuff I've glued on off is to literally cut it out. Like once it's like glued to the yarn, that stuff's there, bro. And because I use a lot of plush yarn, these are like big stitches. Like if I tried, I can like put my finger in that. So with the safety eyes, just the way that they are, I've seen people be able to like literally pull a safety eye back and all out. So I just like gluing down the safety eyes now. I would argue that's the more secure way, even though it's not using the product how it was intended. And then felt eyes. You guys know my thing for felt eyes to the point I've now added felt eyes to like my own business, like making them. And that's been kind of an interesting experience. I've used a Cricut for the first time. I see why people like it. I would never make like a full business out of just that though, because it's like a lot of waiting, waiting for it to cut things, waiting for like your iron on to like cool down so you can peel this stuff off. So yeah, not going to be like a full business thing for me, but I will use it as like a branch of my business. And that's probably why I have so many branches of my business, ADHD. Anyway, it saves me time to be able to just crochet when I'm crocheting and to not have to stop. So I've batch worked these guys. I had to, because I like almost had like a mental breakdown over the weekend, like a small one. I know that sounds dramatic. We're breathing through it. Okay. It was just the 1 year anniversary of my sister's death, and I'm like doing a lot of things. So I got like overwhelmed. So I needed to, Sunday, I like ended up sitting and getting up 21 different listings on Etsy. And if you've ever dabbled in Etsy, 21 listings in a single day is like kind of unheard of because Etsy can take so freaking long. So if you do Etsy and you're like thinking you take a super duper long time, just know that's everybody because I literally asked it in like an Etsy group, like a good Etsy group, not one of those crap Etsy groups. Handmade Alphas, like if you're familiar with Starla Moore, like that's the one good Etsy group that I've ever found. But I literally ask people, like, am I the only one that's like slow? Because it literally takes me like a day to do like one listing. But thankfully, with the felt eyes, it was pretty much I could copy the same listing, but then edit the details. And that's how I got 21 done in one day. But it was just like overwhelming. But I also wanted to get that stuff up there because Etsy themselves was like hosting a sale for like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So yeah, it just, for me, I wanted it up there before the sale came, just in case anybody wanted to buy any of my stuff. But I got like overwhelmed just from like my personal life, but also like my business life. So yesterday I tried to just kind of take a step back and like, don't be afraid to take a break if you need a break, even from your actual job. Like, if you literally can't afford to miss work, I don't worry, been there, done that, and it is unfair to you, and I'm so sorry. But if you can afford to miss a day of work and you have that luxury and like you won't be fired and maybe you have like an understanding boss and like what's that like? Um, take the day if you can because it like helps. Anywho, we're gonna just move on past that. Compartmentalize compartmentalize that. And yeah, I batch worked some things yesterday. I made this little mermaid. She's getting eyes later. I made a couple of possums. They're getting eyes later. This guy was already made. I just want to show you this, the gingerbread man that I'm working on. It's coming out cute, but it's been like in this body form for like 2 weeks now. This is something that keeps getting pushed off my list, but like I've still been productive. So, I mean, that happens too. Like I said, you just got to be willing to adapt. And I use this method a lot and I get a lot done, but I also sometimes push things off anyway, but it helps you push less. And then I also did this. This guy took the better part of an afternoon, and then, like, this was good for my mental health. I ran out of yarn after doing this right before the last eye. Literally, this is the only other thing that I had to make. And I ran out. Kinda. I only have this much left. And that's obviously not enough for an eye. And as if that wasn't bad enough, that yarn, it's Green Ash by like Sweet Snuggles, I think, is out of stock everywhere online. So I was like, okay, I'll see if I can buy it in stores. And of course, it's out of stock in every store near me. The closest store is an hour and a half away. So, yep. Zach, that's what he's doing right now, bless his heart. And I really do feel bad about it. But like, my mental health can't take not finishing him, because this is like, for me, like a $45-50 item. I didn't really count this guy because I was just something for fun. So I think I'm either going to price him at 45 or 50, but I also thought it would be cute to go back and like crochet a strawberry and like make him like hold a strawberry. I don't know. For whatever reason, that just felt like it was going to bring me joy. So I might do that. And then at that point, he's probably going to be like 55. And yeah, maybe he won't sell for that. I don't know. I just wanted to make him mostly, but I can't leave him unfinished because like in my head, that's just like a waste of yarn. And I mean, it would be. And I'm like not super creative, so I'm very like literal with color a lot of the time. So this is obviously a frog, if you guys haven't caught on. And he needs to be green, and I don't know of any other green characters I could turn him into. And yeah, so he's just gonna have to be a frog, and I'm just gonna have to have Zach drive an hour and a half to get me some yarn for his other eye. I did buy both skeins just in case, because I do like this color, but I am really disappointed that it's like, seems like maybe it's a discontinued color or something. I don't know why it would be like completely like non-existent, that we have to go all the way to Tampa to get it. Yeah. So, but yeah, batch working. The whole gist of that was I get done more stuff with like batch working tasks. Uh, so like just crocheting all the crochet things and then like doing all the eyes later. It's going to be like a little more efficient than like crochet, eye, you know? And then same thing with like YouTube. I'll sit and like batch record a few videos back to back. And then I'll send the videos to Marty, who will like batch edit. And then she'll like give them back to me, and then they'll like batch schedule a few out, which is very much like Cliff Notes version. All that goes into YouTube. It sounds a lot easier than it is. As it is, this video is like 35 minutes long. And this was take 5. And the other takes were like just as long, maybe not just as long, but close. They were 15-20 minutes, but my kids were being like all insane in the background because they're like overtired and spazzy. And then like, as you've seen, it's been hard for me to like get from one thought to the next. You know, it's been a little like that. I personally think that's why like batch working and like the Pomodoro method work for me, because my brain is like scrambled a lot, and it just is nice to be able to like literally like push the shit aside to like hyper focus on something, but I'm doing it in a way that allows me to go back and then like hyper focus on the next thing that needs done and the next thing that needs done. And because I have it all written down, I don't have to worry about forgetting anything, not everything. Yeah, so it's just kind of clears your plate without officially clearing your plate, and then you can like get to things as you like get to them. And then when you don't, because for me personally, I don't actually schedule things. Like I'm not from 9 to 9:25 doing this, and then after my 5-minute break from 9:30 to 9:55 doing that. I just have the list and, you know, do what I can. And I have kids, like I said, so sometimes I'll be in the middle of a 25-minute task and then get interrupted. But I can either like stop Alexa and then go back to it, or I could just decide if that's not a pressing task, like okay, that's all I got done with that today. We'll just set it aside for tomorrow, that kind of thing. So I think it's just a good way to like keep organized when you have so much to do that it feels like super overwhelming, especially if you're like me and have like a lot of different tasks to do. So yeah, that's going to be the end of this spiel. Sorry that got weird in the middle with the whole my sister stuff. You guys don't have to worry about my baggage. I'm sure that's going to concern somebody. Like, I really am fine. It's just a lot, but yeah, pushing through. Um, and not in an unhealthy way. I do realize now, because coincidentally, uh, she passed October of last year, and then I started my business in November of last year. So I, at the time, just associated it with like, oh, I got my crochet stuff like from my mom when I was visiting up there. That's why I started my business. And I'm like, I don't know why I was so fixated. I was looking for a distraction then. Like, that's what it was. And it kind of still is what it is, but it helps to have the distraction. So, like, when it gets overwhelming, I could just be like, I'm gonna like crochet now because that's better than thinking about sad stuff. But yeah, having that also has like allowed me to like start processing, in a way that's like slow and less overwhelming because yeah, it's good. And I know it like doesn't sound good, but like it's fine. I'm fine. We're fine. As far as we can be when something's just like not inherently fine. Unfortunately, we've had practice because my family has kind of like an unalive curse. I don't know if you're allowed to say like the D word on YouTube. I don't know why you wouldn't be, but we're gonna call it unalive. My sister, unfortunately, is not the only one to like unalive in a semi-traumatic way. That's just like a story for another time. I don't want to like bum you guys out because that's like not why we're here. We're gonna just move on. If you'd like more crochet content, you can check out this video right here, and I will see you guys in the next one, fresh faced with maybe some rest, less caffeine, because that's also why I've got like almost a twitch right now. Because yeah, and it's just me trying to like compensate for being very tired and like having a lot to do. I just a couple of matchas today. It's fine, and some soda. I didn't have a Red Bull though, and I'm trying to quit, so yeah, it's good. Anyway, watch this video right here, and goodbye.